Man, what's up, everybody? I hope y'all are enjoying your Monday. Man, there has been some games played already, some trades that I just simply don't understand how they happened. Um, we are in week one, and the beauty of connected franchise mode that I have noticed within our league and every league that I've played in, the first 4 to 5 weeks are the best part of the league. Um, and I say that adding the off season. Everybody being able to make those make trades, signing guys. Hopefully, everybody had a pretty decent draft, or maybe you didn't. Maybe your team just didn't have any draft picks because you traded all your draft picks away like an idiot and ended up with a player that's probably 35 years old for no reason. Whatever it was, I mean, I hope everybody enjoyed the off season and got the players that you needed. Did my best to try to make sure that on some level everybody was able to at least be in a position of building the team that they need. Some of you guys made some very stupid decisions that I saw. Others quietly made some really good moves. But other than that, man, like I said, this is the Madden League, the Money League, Texas Heat. Hope y'all are enjoying your Monday as well. And just going to break down a little bit of what has happened so far this week, what I have seen transpire as far as some of the games so far. Probably the biggest trade that I saw during the off season, or two. Um, One, I'm not really sure what that trade really does for either opponent or either player, but it was still pretty huge as you can see on the screen. Zeke Elliott and Alvin Kamara were traded um, to between New Orleans and Dallas, which I don't know, that's crazy to me. It's blasphemy. It's blasphemous to see Zeke going to New Orleans. Like that's just too much. And then didn't even realize Todd Gurley um, was traded. So that's another interesting. Actually, no, Todd Gurley was not traded. I apologize. But anyways, yeah, just gonna break down a little bit of the league. Go down that wins and losses list. Give everyone my perspective of kind of how I see things panning out this season. Who's going to be doing what by the time the actual playoffs get here. Um, Big winners and losers of week one and how that impacts as far as the season. And just kind of break it down from there. So if y'all just give me just a second, I'm gonna try to get this thing moving pretty smooth. Just gonna, if you can see the tops, some of these games you can see, of course, on the screen. Looks like the Vikings won his game, a blowout against the Eagles. That's kind of unexpected out of Luke. He is typically the exact opposite when it comes to really anybody he's played. Maybe that NFC Championship loss that he took to Colton is probably holding over, and he's just, or it could be a lot of the changes that he has with the Eagles. I mean, you just never know. But I did not expect a blowout for that game. That's for sure. But yeah, give me a second, and want to make sure that everybody can at least see the show, and we will go from there. Everybody, just making sure I was tagging everybody in the league, just making sure everybody will be able to at least see the show if you have the opportunity this morning. I will try to archive it and post it on the YouTube channel as well as Facebook. But real quick, just going to go down to the schedule this week. Looking at games, I did make some predictions. I didn't make them on all of games just because we do have some new players in the league. And also there were guys that I hadn't seen play each other before. And then some games, guys just play so close to one another that really hard to say who's going to do what in each game. But just to start off the season, looks like the Packers and Texans both play week one. They have not scheduled their game yet. Of course, today is technically, like I said to everyone, today is technically day one. I opened it up Sunday night just so if you would like to play, you can. Today is technically day one of week one's advance. So, Packers and Texans. The Packers is going to win this game. I think Chuck is just he's playing well with the Packers last year. He probably should have been at least in the NFC Championship last year. Fell short, and he's just a tough player. I mean, they play very similar styles between him and Ivan. They both like to have that stretch run. They both like to use that play action and get to the outside if needed. Pretty decent users on defense. I just think ultimately Chuck is the better user. Even teams. And I'm not really sure how the Texans offense is going to look this year without DeAndre Hopkins. I know that when I spoke to Ivan, he mentioned that he didn't really use D-Hop that much. However, you know, sometimes it's nice just to keep those guys, just to keep, really keep people from having the ability to blitz often, to really attack your offense with an aggressive style. That's really the beauty of having those superstar receivers or that X factor is guys can't play that aggressive style. Where when you don't have that superstar out there, it makes it a little different. Can man all game, whatever. And I just think without that X factor of DeAndre Hopkins, that could be a problem. But then again, Texans did pick up some players, so who knows. But I do have Packers winning this game. Bears and Colts. I do know that Greg said he is back, and of course Palmer. If everybody doesn't know Palmer, I've known him for I'd say maybe a year, two, maybe when it comes to just playing in different leagues. We play in a different league, of course, and I expect him, if not win his division, I do expect him to be in the playoffs. Greg has been a playoff guy in the past. For whatever reason, he just kind of had a down season last season. But I do think the Colts wins this game. Vikings and Eagles, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I did not expect this to be a blowout. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if Luke was playing at a truck stop and just decided to pull his PS4 out and just was completely distracted. I don't know what it is. I think they're actually very even as far as users. Of course, the score in this game doesn't really show that. Don't know if may have been a big turnover situation. That's what it looks like. Looks like Luke turned over the ball all of the game, and so yeah, that was definitely a blowout there. Looks like Herman's starting the season off strong as far as this game and his division. So kudos to Herman for winning that game. Redskins and Panthers. For people that don't know that are in the league or that just joined this season, the new Panthers owner is actually Richard, who played with us last Madden and I believe the Madden before. I can't remember. He's always been a top player, or he's always been in that top 10 as far as someone that's going to make the playoffs or at least contend to be in the playoffs. So definitely Richard is going to win this game. Fred Kendall said he's going to play a different game this year and prove that he's going to be a different competitor this year. I mean, it's all about, for me, it's proving me wrong, and I'm not really looking at Fred. No offense, not really looking at your schedule and your gameplay in the past in the league and saying that things are going to be different because your schedule actually got tougher. Or it's much harder than what you had last season. So I mean, we'll see. Panthers definitely wins this game. Um, yeah, Panthers wins it. Then Saints and Lions. This game was a little bit hard to judge. I've never played. I've never played Earl with Detroit. I've never played him, or at least I don't think we've played. I've played Ben before, and I know Ben can actually be. Ben is Ben to me is one of those players where you really don't know the game you're going to get from him. I've had games where I've played Ben and I've won pretty easy, and then I've had games where he's played me as best as the best guy that I've played in the league ever. So it's just you don't really know the kind of game you're going to get from him. And I thought that I think I put him as a loss on the prediction deal, just because he made that trade, getting Zeke, and putting him behind that offensive line with New Orleans. Um, that offensive line is decent that he has now, but it's not the line that the Cowboys have. It's a transition week, I thought, really for him and the Lions. So the score wasn't really that big of a difference as I kind of expected, but the Lions did pull it out. I do play Fernando this week if we ever get our game scheduled. He did come back saying he would like to play, and of course he's with the Raiders. I hope I pull this game out, but we'll see. Bengals and Steelers, kind of an interesting game because I haven't really played Cole in a while. I've played Nick Adams, and I know he's a decent player. It just all comes down to really when it comes down to Nick Adams, it just comes down to mistakes. I feel like 80% of our league, that's what it comes down to. Is I don't really think there is one guy that is just above everyone else. What I really think it is, it just comes down to mistakes. Who's not going to make the turnover that ultimately wins the game? Dolphins and Bills, my division. I'm going to look at my deal because I really do not know who I picked to win this game. I'm not sure if I picked Brad or, yep, I did pick Brad. I had picked Brad to win this game. Looks like he came up short against Anthony with Miami. I mean, they played a decent game, of course. Looks like no defense really happened at all in this game. And then again, Miami has some new players. I mean, he does have, 402 yards. Josh Rosen, goodness. Um, but yeah, I mean, looks like they both had some. Looks like this game really came down to turnovers. And if you can look at it, one player just had one more turnover than the other. But yeah, came up short. But this is my division. Looks like D Hop did have an amazing game, of course, and so shout out to Anthony for winning that game, a close game. And all the divisions are going to be tough this year. For people that feel like they have had an easy division since the beginning of time, whatever, my division has changed. My division went from I could literally go 6-10, make the playoffs no problem, to I'm gonna have to play this season because Anthony and Brad are both very decent players. Giants and Seahawks. I think they are both playing right now. Not sure. But I do know that they're supposed to play today. I'm going to say that the Giants pulls this game out. I do know that the Seahawks has made some moves, but it's just something that Travis does with Saquon Barkley that is just too much. Ultimately, until he gets to the playoffs, but he's going to pull this game out. Bucks and Broncos. I got to play Mr. Calhoun. I got to play him a little bit, just playing a little head-to-head game. He's a lot better than I realized. He's a decent, very much a decent player. And then Jacob's not too bad at all, but it does look like the Bucks really took over this game. And so, yeah, so kudos for kudos for Mr. Calhoun pulling this game out, and of course, starting off the season 1-0. I know last season it was a struggle in the beginning, trying to figure those Bucks out. With free agency moves, looks like he's going to be, I guess, okay. I mean, we'll see. And then Cardinals and Jets. I believe I have the Jets winning this game. Lecarius is not a bad player. It just comes down to mistakes. If he doesn't commit turnovers, I think he's actually a playoff player every single season. But we'll see. I do have him definitely winning this game. Two new users. One game that I did not put a prediction on. I really, I did play Kevin Freeman before the season started because I didn't really want to put anyone trash as far as placing someone on the Cowboys roster. It's my team. If I'm gonna give you that team and you're gonna be trash, I'm sorry. I'll give you the Dolphins or something like that. I'm not gonna give you the Dallas Cowboys if you cannot play. But regardless of that, they had their game. He did play the Rams, and looks like, if I'm not mistaken, I think this game went to overtime. But they did have a very decent game. Interesting. It's very rare that you see a game where you have 6 turnovers to 2 and it be a one possession game. So that lets you know that on some level defense was really a factor in this game. Um, and then after the Cowboys and Rams, looks like Corey got his ass beat. Corey, you got fucking manhandled in your own division. Corey, you got your ass destroyed in your own division. I thought this was going to be the year that I would see Corey take his division and run with it and make the playoffs, but does not look like that's going to be the case. Corey, looks like you ran into the Justin James that I know, and yeah, 51-7 does not look good to start the season for a guy that made the playoffs last year pretty easy. So, shoot, I kind of feel like Justin James needs to go back to the Steelers because I don't remember seeing him having too many games like this. So, but 51-7, that's a huge difference. Definitely shout out to the Justin James pulling that game out. And then Ravens and Browns. This is supposed to be the year that Jeremy kind of reinserts his dominance, according to him. Said that he was going to pull a few more games out this year and try to make the playoffs, but I do think he's going to come up short when it comes to playing Tristan. Chiefs and Chargers. To everyone that doesn't know, Marquise is coming back. I will be adding him right after the show. He will be taking over the Chargers. He's going to be playing against Sean. Marquise last Madden did have 2 Super Bowls and was able to just pull some games out. So I'm glad to have him back. He's going to play Sean, I believe, today, and just going from there. And then, of course, the game of the week, Falcons and 49ers, 2 highly competitive guys. They are, I mean, it's one of those. These are two guys that I couldn't tell you who is going to do what. I I mean, honestly, when it comes to the NFC, I've always said that it's either going to be Octavius or Colton in the Super Bowl. I just don't see anyone else that's going to make it. There's some new players in the NFC that could make a change in that, or a statement, as far as himself and teams that they have, like the Cowboys and the Rams. But I just don't see anybody besides Colton and Octavius making the Super Bowl. Even though the Falcons had lost to Eagles last season, I still thought he was the better opponent to play against Colton than the Eagles. And styles make fights. That's just how this works. But that is the week 1 schedule. Just a little bit of my perspective of how people are going to pan out. I'm just going to go through the standings and just give everybody a perspective of how I think things are going to end by the end of the season. So I'm going to jump over to the NFC, and if you give me just a sec, I will get started. I see a peace sign thrown up in the chat right now. Not sure what that means. I guess the game was probably lost. And I see some trades need to be approved. I see Corey and Ivan and others talking mad shit between each other. Must be getting ready for some tough games. I think they're all in the same division. Really quickly, just going to break down the standings, not necessarily wins and losses, just how I see it panning out this year. We have new players in this. We have new players playing in a lot of different divisions this year, and it's going to impact guys that some of them I haven't played, others I'm very aware of, and I think it's going to make a huge difference as far as who makes the playoffs. But then again, may not be that much. When I send that prediction sheet out, it'll probably make more sense. Um, but what I can say is, oh, side note, I do see that Richard and I believe the Steelers are trying to make a trade. Um, I do. I don't see the trade, but from what I can see in the message that you sent, I'll approve it. So if y'all hear this, it's approved. But other than that, I'm just going to break down the standings real quick, or how I think each division is going to work out. So the NFC North, of course, Vikings with Herman, Chuck with the Packers, Greg with the Bears, and Earl with the Lions. I do see that Earl plays over in another league that I'm in. I believe that's in Chuck's league, and he did make the playoffs over there. Don't know what the result's going to be for him over there. He's a decent player. This is his first season with us, first full season that he's going to have. So it really makes this division interesting. I still think Herman takes the division. I still think that ultimately, having all three of them, and if Greg plays any like he did last Madden, can make this division tough. But I do think that Herman still takes the division with the Vikings. Chuck's a decent player with the Packs, Bears, Lions, all decent players. I just don't think they're going to be able to compete with Herman just game to game. If Herman puts up the points the way he did and shuts out Eagles like that the rest of the season, I don't see it happening. NFC South, this one's tough. A lot tougher than last year. Last season, you would have, I would have just said Octavius takes it all, no problem. He still takes the division first. Just want to clear it up. He most definitely takes the division. Um, and Bucks is going to play. Looks like he's going to be playing a lot better this year. Ben, of course, took his first L of the season against a tough game against the Lions. Richard is in this division, but Falcons ultimately takes this division. I think, if anything, you may see Richard or Mr. Calhoun take the Bucks, but we'll see. NFC East. Eagles did take his first loss as well as the Cowboys. I believe the Giants just won his game against I believe the Giants just won his game against the Seahawks. I'm not really sure, but then again, not. I mean, they're talking about it in the they're talking about it in the chat. I'm not really sure, but I believe the Giants just won his game. I think this season, I know the Giants did make the playoffs the last season as well as the Eagles. The Cowboys user is good. I mean, I played him. He's a decent player. He's going to win a lot of games. How he matches up with his division, it's really hard to say. But I think the Giants are going to take this division. I think it's going to be Giants and Cowboys. The NFC just is loaded. All the new players basically joined the NFC besides Marquise coming to the Chargers. But the NFC is loaded, and so it's really this probably would be the toughest year I've ever had predicting as far as playoffs because Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys, all decent players, all good enough to make the playoffs, all good enough to be playoff contenders. So it's really tough to say, but I'm going to definitely say that if I had to put money on it, I'm going to say Giants and Cowboys make the playoffs. Eagles fall short. NFC West, pretty similar to last year in my opinion. Colton will be in the playoffs. Um, and followed by Colton will be the Rams. So definitely going to go those two making the playoffs. Only because I think the Rams is a decent player. Never played him before. I just pay attention to the chat, and some guys you just register. He has to be good based on the moves that he's making, the decisions that he's making. On some level, he understands this game. So definitely going to lean 49ers and Rams. 49ers ultimately does take the division. And then the AFC, of course, now that the the Steelers' old owner transitioned over to the Jags, Tristan is basically on an island by himself. Tristan officially has the easiest division in the league by far. So definitely, definitely, this is all Tristan, and I do think Cole. No disrespect to Cole or Fred or Nick Adams or Jeremy. Tristan's taking the division. He'll be in the playoffs, and that's just kind of the setup that I think is going to happen. AFC South, the way Corey lost really is kind of alarming in my mind. And the biggest reason I say that is because ultimately that loss, the way he lost, knowing the Colts user and how decent of a player he is, and knowing that Ivan definitely stays on his game, uh, it's alarming. Maybe he'll turn it around. Justin James will take this division. I think Colts will be the second as far as making the playoffs, and then Titans and Texans will be a close third, fighting for that second wild card spot. My division has definitely changed as well. Bills and Dolphins are definitely worthy of playoff contenders. I'm going to make the playoffs. I just don't know if I'm going to win the division or not. I haven't really looked at my schedule to see who I've played or anything like that at all. But um, yeah, it's we're loaded now as far as competition. So it's really hard for me to just look at. I think I'll beat Brad Peters. I think I'll beat Anthony when we play, but I can't say it for certain because ultimately, when I've played them in the past, they were semi-close games, and now to have them into my division and having to play them twice, it's hard to say. But I think I'll pull out this division, and ultimately, even though Brad lost, I still think he'll make, if not the playoffs, he will be right right on the edge, one of the two. But and of course Anthony as well. I mean, this is tough. This is probably the toughest year I've ever had to predict. I mean, we have legit comp this season, probably the deepest as far as competition we've had in a while. And then of course AFC West with the addition of Marquise, going over to the Chargers. Congratulations, Mr. Morris. I believe it's his first child. He's just kind of holding his team for till he comes back. Marquise is, of course, going to be playing on him. Yeah, with Marquise coming back, he's taking this division. If he's not in this division, then I'd probably lean towards the Chiefs. But being that he is back, without question, I'm giving him this division and he'll be in the playoffs. That's pretty much it, y'all. I just hope everybody follows the rules, get your games scheduled. Hope everybody enjoys it. And man, I'm just ready to get this season started. For you new guys, I will do a prediction sheet. I try to do a prediction sheet each season around between weeks 7 and 9, just to give everyone a perspective of how I think you're going to end up by season's end. Other than that, again, hope y'all have enjoyed the show and hope everybody's ready to get started. I'm excited because I feel like I built a pretty decent team in the off season, and there were some moves that were made that were ridiculous. Um, but yeah, I'm ready to go. So hope y'all enjoyed it and talk to y'all soon. Oh, looks like we just had somebody leave the league. So there will be a team available for anyone that knows someone that is interested. So just let me know. Other than that, everybody enjoy your day, and I look forward to getting all this started and getting everybody. I look forward to beating some ass this season. It's redemption mode. This is what it's all about.